from within us. Our direction as God's children is what is wrong. We have not been good at following God. Following God. How am I going to see him in order for me to follow him? I've told you this before. Jesus says that what I see my Father do is what I do. It means he's in touch with the Father. He's aware. He has knowledge of his Father. And he has access to the workings of his Father, so that he sees what the Father is doing, and he also what? Follows suit. So he has access into the workshop of his Father. Then I went in to ask you a question. If then Jesus goes on to raise Lazarus from the dead, where is God the Father raising the dead? In heaven. If he says, what I see my Father do is what I'm doing, so there must be a dead man in heaven that the Father is raising, for Jesus then to look for a Lazarus, and then he raises him up, because that's exactly what is God doing? So what Jesus is trying to let you know is, the Father who is raising the dead is not raising the dead in heaven. No. The Father is in me. So he said, my desire that I thought was my desire to raise the dead is not my desire. It is the desire of the Father to raise the dead. So all I need to do is to read the desire that I have. Do you think that your desire for more is your personal desire? Do you think when you're driving an old, wretched car and you feel bad about, do you think it is you? There is a certain standard in you. There is a quality that you have consumed that finds it uncomfortable when you find yourself in places that are not comfortable. So Jesus is saying, when I think about going to raise Lazarus from the dead, that thought is not personal. It is the desire and the will of the Father for the dead to be raised. So I will go and raise, because that's exactly what I see the Father doing. I see it in form of that desire to raise the dead. Could it be God in you wanting more space, more rooms, a better location? Could it be God in you with the desire to change your address? Could it be God in you? What I see my Father do is what I do.
The Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do.
So the Father has to do it first, and the Son sees, and the Son goes on to do. But where did God raise the dead? Who is blind in heaven that the Father opened his eyes and the Son saw? Then he said, okay, let me also look for the blind. Who is blind in heaven? So Jesus is saying, my desire to heal the blind. So there is something in Jesus which is called the Father. And when he feels like laying his hands on the blind, it means the Father has already gone ahead to heal. Sit down, please. So if the Father has already gone ahead to heal the blind, it means Jesus is healing the blind for the second time. It has to be done before it is done. You have to be promoted before you are promoted. You have to make some money before you make money. So, what Jesus is doing is simply following the footsteps of the Father to Lazarus' grave. It means the Father has been there before the Son. You can't have a God who is telling you that the land flows with milk and honey unless he's speaking from there. No. That prophecy concerning the land is coming from a spy. Someone needed to be there to assess the land first, and it gets to you in form of prophecy, a promise. God is already where you're going. You know, the house of Jacob shall inherit their promises or possess their possessions. Possess their possessions. You see?
But unto Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and they shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions.
The house of Jacob. Now, in reference to Mount Zion, this is the church. Jacob shall possess his possessions. To think that it is your possession, yet you are not in possession of your possession. Very possible. To think that your possession is is only the possessions that you are in possession of, it's wrong. You possess more than you possess. In terms of possessions, you have more. This is why God is finding it weird why you're still asking him for a house. For Jacob to possess his possessions, it can be your possession and you are not in possession of it. Jacob was in the promised land, yet he was not in possession of the promised land. Yet that was his possession, yet he was not in possession of it. What disqualifies you from possessing your possession? Faith and what? And patience. Faith and patience. Be seated, please. Be seated. Be seated. Be seated. How come I have faith in God, yet my life is not going anywhere? Let's look at your faith. And let's look at the God that you have faith in. What kind of faith is that? When you say that you have faith in God, what is it about God that you are so sure of? What do you know about God? In following such a God, be careful. You have to be able to see him and know him and follow him. So it means he is going to determine your direction. You will go where he goes, Not when you see him going. No, it is your feeling, your desire, your God desire